Hello all, welcome to KnowHow Academy. Imagine you are managing $1 million or $10 million business or a sales pipeline across 3 regions. Now it is required for you that you need to show with a dynamic KPI. You have to show the region level highlights. You have to show month over month trends. So do you really think that when we try to get all these different aspects, is it really possible that can we do this with Microsoft Excel? Can you easily calculate your month over month trend? Can you easily calculate your region level insights? Can you easily calculate your dynamic KPIs? So why are all these required? All these are required in order to show the key metrics about the business to your end user. So now what happens, whatever the visuals that you are trying to show with the information that we have, with the KPIs, with month over month trends, or with year over year growth, or rolling average, or cumulative total for 12 months, or rolling total or rolling sales for 12 months. My dear viewers, all these are the very important parts of the data that we have to consider whenever we are trying to show this sales data, or whenever we are trying to show some sales and marketing data. This is very important. Okay, so when we are trying to show all these different metrics, okay, all these different parameters using the calculations part that we have to do, can we really do that using Microsoft Excel? Is it possible? If possible, is it so easy that anyone can easily go and opt or write any formulas in it? Then yes, you have to think about it. Let me tell you why. I have a small Excel sheet here. As you can see that I have a small Excel sheet here. In this data, I have date column, I have product ID column, I have quantity column, I have unit price, I have region, right? I have the discount, I have the sales amount, and I have the profit. So as you can see that I have the different columns here. Now based upon these columns, I have to show my month over month trend. I have to show my year over year trend. I have to show my dynamic KPIs. Okay, this is difficult. Let me show you why. For example, I have done a small calculation here where I have used a logical function. Okay, so for example, as you can see that if my particular region, the condition I'm talking about, what I have done is, if my region is west with the sales amount whatever I have, if the region is west, then I have to get the result as the same sales amount what I have. If my region is not west, if it is not west, in a sense, if it is south, if it is north, if it is east, whatever it is apart from, except from west, then I have to get 0. So when I am trying to get this kind of question, when I'm trying to get this kind of formula, then obviously what we are going to do, as you can see that if E4 equal to west. Now what exactly is E4 here? A, B, C, D, E. E1, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. If my E4 west, no? If my E4 is equal to west, then if it is true, I have to get the result of G4, or else I have to get 0. Else what I have to get? I have to get 0. Okay, so here the point is, I am trying to calculate some information using the logical formula, which is if. So what if the case, if you are getting such a scenario where you have to use more than one if condition in a statement? then using multiple if conditions will obviously cause a chaos in your particular statement. You'll get confused. So now, in order to overcome that, what we are trying to do, we are going and working and making it much more simpler so that anyone can understand. Though you are from any sort of background, if you try to get a syntax, if you try to get some help, if you try to get some suggestion from the application that in order to calculate this by using this function, then you have to add all these things in your formula, then obviously anyone can go and do it. Am I right? Anyone can go and do it. When I am telling that anyone can go and do it, it means that though you are a beginner, though you are learning Power BI, or though you are a master, depending upon the requirements that you will be working in your real time, based upon that, what happens is that you are going to use the different types of formulas, functions, depending upon the requirement. So in order to do that, let us compare this Excel with the DAX functions in Power BI. So my dear viewers, what is a DAX function? What is DAX? DAX. It stands for Data Analysis Expression. It stands for Data Analysis Expression. So when I'm talking about the data analysis expression, my dear viewers, it is a formula language. It is a formula language very similar to Excel. It is not a Python, it is not a C language, it is not coding, nothing. Okay, do not worry about it. What exactly it is? As how we have formulas. For example, let me show you one simple thing here. Okay, what I am doing, I would like to calculate a total. So in order to calculate total, we have to use the formula called sum in Excel. Am I right? So equal to sum of this one. If I would like to calculate sum of. So what I have to do, I have to select this one. Okay, and I have to calculate, for example, till this one. If I click on enter, I'll get the sum of it, right? So what is the difficulty that you are facing? You have to write equal to sum, then you have to select the cells what you have. Cell, I'm talking about the keyword called cell here. Cell. So now my dear viewers, the point that I'm talking here is that in DAX function, the same sum we are going to use. In DAX function, what we are going to use? In DAX function, we are going to use same sum here. There is no difference, but the steps that you have taken, the difficulty level that you have taken in order to write this sum formula in Excel, that is not there in DAX. Okay, in data analysis expression, we do not have that kind of difficulty. It's very easy. Okay, so DAX is made for data models. I'm very clear. DAX is made for data models, but not for cells. But Microsoft Excel, it works in cells. Cell, this is a cell. This is one cell. This is another cell. This is another cell. It works for cell. Okay, which is in a row by row basis. But DAX, it works in a data model perspective, where you can go and use it for the context aware, where you can go and use it for filter sensitive. Alright, so depending upon the model that you have, you will go and use those kind of DAX functions. And in Power BI, we have 1200 plus DAX functions. We are not going to use all 1200 plus in any project. Okay, so whatever the requirements we have, based upon that, we will go and consider and we will go and use those particular DAX functions. So what we will do, let us work on it rather than going more into theoretical. Let us work it in the practical. Let's get this data into Power BI. So for this, I'll come to Power BI, and here what I'm trying to do, I am going and getting that particular sales data into Power BI. So now for this, Power BI, it can accept more than 99 plus different data sources into Power BI. So it is up to you what data source that you have and how you are going to get it. So here under get data, I have my CSV file. So under that CSV, I'm going to consider the sales data that I have. I'm clicking on OK. So whatever the columns that we have seen, we can find all those columns here in this particular sales. So We have date, product ID, quantity, unit price, region, discount, sales amount, profit, everything, right? So now I'm clicking on load. As soon as I click on load, what's happening here? I'm getting that particular data into my Power BI. I'm loading the data into Power BI. So generally it is an ETL process where you extract, transform, and you go and load the data into your Power BI. Okay. So after this sales data get loaded, we have to understand the modeling part, data modeling. It's a very important word that we have to consider, data model. So when I'm talking about a data model, Power BI will automatically create the modeling with more than one table if you have in your Power BI. Let me give you a simple example. So here I will go to the data model. I'll go to the model view. Okay, I have only one particular table here. Am I right? I do not have any table, so there is no cardinality or modeling which is created. So in order to do that, so I'll go and come here to CSV and let me load another table called product table. Okay, so we have a sales table, and now we will be having another table which is called as a product table, where we have product ID, name, and category. Let me load it. Now you can see it directly that as soon as the product data table is now loaded into Power BI, my dear viewers, there is a cardinality connected between two tables. There is a cardinality connected. So when I'm talking about the cardinality, we have one to one, we have one to many, we have many to many, we have many to one. Okay. So now, as you can see that by default, the time when I have loaded the data into my Power BI, you can see that it's one to many relationship that is created. Without this, we cannot work on Power BI. From sales data, you want to get one column. From products data, you want to get one column into one visual. It is not possible without the cardinality. You have to create this. That's what is a data model. So when I'm talking about a data model, we again come with a concept called schema, where we have a star schema, Snowflake schema, we have galaxy schema and all. So star schema is nothing but we have, let me give you another terminology here, dimension table and fact table. So where we have the aggregations and all that, one fact table is connected with multiple dimension tables, so that we go with the star schema. And in this star schema, we have a lot of possibilities that our performance of the report will be good. Okay, so if your performance of a report is not going good, then one of the factors might be your schema might be wrong, or it might be overloaded. So we have to check that. So that's the secondary part. Okay, so now coming back, when we talk about the DAX functions here, my dear viewers, now let me give you the difference between a row level context and a column level context. Now what is this row level context and a column level context? My dear viewers, here you can see that in the sales data, we have a column called sales amount. So let's consider that this sales amount column is not there. Let's imagine that this sales amount column is not there. In order to calculate total sales, so what we have to do, we have to go to new measure, and in this new measure, what we have to do, in this new measure, we should go and first, we have to go to new column, and again we have to create a sales table. After we create a sales table, then we have to go and create a total sales. More than 2 steps are involved in order to get total sales when one sales column is not available. Now that is a column level context. In order to make it simpler, if you want to talk about a row level context, we go with the X functions that we have in Power BI. That's where your sum X, average X, min X, max X, all these comes into the rank X, all these comes into the picture. So now when I'm talking about DAX functions, my dear viewers, we should think about these 4. As you can see here, we have new measure, quick measure, new column, new table. Let me walk through all these one by one. New table. in the name itself we have, when we want to create a new table depending upon the requirements that we have, then we have to click on new table, then a new table will be added to our data set. Very simple. Okay, now I'm talking about a new column. So let's consider here in the sales data, how many columns I have here. In the sales data, as you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, I have 8 columns in my sales table. When I select new column, then what happens is that including this 8, one another column will be added. As you can see, I have clicked on new column, then a new column is getting added. My dear viewers, understand, when I am selecting new column, every time we are doing new column, it is, don't you think that we are increasing the size of the data set? Yes, we are doing it. So again, that causes a performance issue. Again, that causes the data to refresh, to load very late. That is not allowed. Unnecessary or oversized calculated columns, if you are using it, then we have to avoid it. So that's the first condition. So that's something about new column. Now we are adding some new column. Now when I talk about a quick measure, so let's consider, if you want to find out under this product data, we have a category table. If you want to find out what is my average sales for the category and all, so quick measure, what happens is that by default Power BI have some calculations for you. You can use them. Okay, some running total, if you want to find out the maximum per category, variance per category, average per category. Now if you want to apply some filters, obviously you can get all these here. Okay, so those are some predefined measures that are available with you in quick measure. Okay, so now coming to the point called new measure. So what happens in the new measure is that in new measure, what we are going to do, whatever we do in a column we get it, but new measure is something which is used for aggregated data. For example, if you want to find out what is your total sales, total profit, average sales, average profit, okay, profit margin if you want to calculate. So when I'm talking something about the aggregation part, then we have to go with the new measure here. Now you cannot see the value physically there in the column, but it will be stored inside the variable. Whenever you want, you can use it. Okay, so now let's work on it. My dear viewers, here what I'm trying to do in this sales data that we have, okay, I want to calculate total sales. Okay, what can I do? Let me show you. I'll take a new measure here. What I'm doing, I'm choosing the name as, I'm writing the name as total sales equal to sum. Now let me walk through with both the functions that we have discussed, which is sum and sumx. Now what is the use of sum? When I click on sum, can you see here in the syntax, it is asking me to add the column name. It is asking me to add the column name. When I am talking about the column name, my dear viewers, the column should be physically present. If the column is not physically present, then how are you going to use the sum? Are you getting me? Okay, so when we do not have a column physically present already, or the existing column, if we do not have it, we cannot work on sum. So that's a column level perspective, that's a column level context. So that's where what we are trying to do, we will go with the X function, which is a row level perspective. It is in a row level perspective. So what I'll do here, I'll write sales. Now the advantage of DAX function, let me tell you, my dear viewers, in Excel what we have done, when we are writing this if condition, whatever we have to write by our own. Excel is not giving us any suggestion to use this here. Okay, so now what we are trying to do, as you can see here, for example, let me write equal to if. When I'm selecting this one, if, it is telling me the logical test, value if true, value if false, right? So now in the same way, if I come back here, I'm choosing this DAX function called sumx. Now it is giving me what is sumx, how you have to use SumX with the syntax. Very user friendly. Returns the sum of an expression evaluated for each row, which is a row level basis, which is a row level perspective that we have to understand. So when I'm talking this as a row level perspective, let me show you. So here what I'm choosing, my table name, which is sales data, comma. Now let's go with the expression. I have my quantity column, which I am multiplying with the unit price column that I have it. Very simple. I am getting my total sales. I did not see whether I had the sales column or not. I did not see whether I had the any other profit column or not. No, directly I have calculated total sales using only one expression under the X function, which is a row level context. So now, in order to make it easier to understand, what we will do, I'll show you with the card chart. I have a KPI card. If I get this total sales here, we can see that our sales is 26.71k. Okay, so now let us understand this with another visual. Now let me choose a bar chart here. In this bar chart, let me take the category under the y-axis and I'll take total sales in the x-axis. Okay, so we can see that how much sales we have got for each category, that is visible here. Let's do the formatting later on. Now we have to understand that we have one visual called as slicer. So when we talk about a slicer is such a kind of visual which is user friendly. Anyone from anywhere can use it. Okay, what is a slicer? It is like a filter. It is like a filter context. So what is a filter? For example, I have north, south, east, west. I have 4 regions in my region data. I want to see how much sales I got only from west. I want to see how much sales I got only from north, only from south, only from east. Then this is the right visual. So let me show you. I'll get the region here in the slicer. Now you can see that I'll click on east. I got total sales. If it is north, I got this one. If it is south, 7.10. If it is west, 5.37. I am getting it, people. I am getting the result. You know, it's an interactive way. That's an interactive way. So what we generally suggest is that whenever we are trying to create any sort of report, we insist everyone to have at least 2 to 3 slicers in your report so that the end user can go and interact with it very easily. Okay, so now here let's even look into the information, the one which we have seen just now. Okay, so in Excel, what we have done, if I want to get this particular value, I have written this if condition, right? What are the things involved? Here I have if E4 equal to west, then my sales amount column number. Again, this is a difficult task. Okay, I'll show you. I have to select the column and I have to select which number it is I have to see here, right? So now in order to make it easier, the same result, if you would like to see, we will go and get it with a very easy DAX function. So let us compare that Excel to the DAX now. So here what I'm doing, I am going to new measure. I'm selecting a new measure here. So in this new measure, I'm going to write some name. Let's consider as logic test, something like this. I'm choosing a new measure, very simple new measure, nothing complicated here. I am using the DAX function called calculate. Okay, I'll explain you very neatly and very easily so that you can understand. I am calculating. What I am calculating? I am calculating total sales of which region? Of west region. So for that we have to select the region column equal to, we have to write west. That's it. We got the answer. So let me show you. Now here I'll take a KPI card. Okay, I'll get the logical test here, 5.37k. all right, let us verify. So what I'm trying to do here, I'll take a table chart. Okay, So what I'm doing, I am taking region here, I am taking category here, and I'll be showing you how much is my total sales for each. Okay, so let me just increase the size of the values. As you can see, West, for West, how much we have? 5368.53. That's the total sales we have for West region. My dear viewers, the same thing we have got 5.37k. Okay, so the reason that I have explained you this simple example is that, there are, the DAX is very similar to Excel formulas, but using DAX is very easy in order to show the complicated calculations in the form of a visual. That's what we can understand, right? So now if I would like to talk to you the difference between the multiple if conditions with switch, if I would like to take an example. Now, as what we have done here, we have used if condition as I have already given you a scenario where if you would like to use another if condition, inside one statement more than one if conditions are coming, then that's obviously we are getting confused in that. So in order to avoid that, what we generally do, we use the DAX function called switch, as how we use nested if. Okay, we use switch condition. Using the switch condition and the expression, we can avoid multiple if conditions. So that's very interesting part. So you should also understand one thing, that there are many such DAX functions that we have which are not available in Microsoft Excel. I'm talking about the formula. Let us take the formula. For example, if you have some 500 or 600 or 700, for example, if you have 5 to 600 of formulas in Microsoft Excel, there are more advanced formulas that we have it in DAX that can make complex calculations very easy. And that's what I can tell. So now when coming back here, let's prepare a small mini dashboard. For that, what I'm doing, I'll go to wallpaper. I'll just change the wallpaper. Let's make it some interesting wallpaper here. And now what I'm trying to do, I am just adding some KPI card charts here. So in this KPI card, let me take total sales. I'll come to format. People understand one thing. Many of the developers, what they do, they waste a lot of time in going and selecting the visual, in going and formatting the visual and all. We have to understand which visual is used in what scenario. If you want to show the trend, business trend over time, trend over date, then we have to go with the line charts. If you want to see the hierarchical data, we have to go with the matrix chart. If you want to show the marketing trend, we have to go with the funnel chart. So these are the logics. We have to understand it. We cannot use whichever visual we want. Okay. So now after we choose a visual, it's very important to go and decorate it. And that's what we format it beautifully. So do not waste time on formatting every visual. Format only one visual perfectly and use format painter for all. Very simple. So let me show you how. I have a category label here. I'm switching it off and I'll on the title. So the title, what I'm choosing here, I'm taking the title as total sales. Okay, I'll go to the formatting. I'll go with the font style bold. I'll increase the style to 16. I'll make the text color black and I will align it to the center. Okay, so this is my total sales. Now I'll come to the size and style and I'll add the border so that it looks more beautiful and little bit interesting. Okay, so as you can see that we have 26.71k as our total sales. I'll copy this and I'll paste two more. What I'm trying to do, I'm pasting two more KPI cards here, and in this I am going to add another information such as what is my total profit. What I have to do now, very simple, just go and change the title here to total profit. Very simple. Now I'll come back to another visual. I'll show here what is my total category, how many total categories I have. I'll right click it and I'll use count distinct. Okay, so I'll go and choose total category. total category. Very simple. Now I can go and use a slicer as well. Okay, I can go and use the slicer as well. So when I'm talking about a slicer, I'll choose a slicer here. So I will go and even format the slicer also in the same way. And now I'll go and choose region here. Okay, so what I'll do, I will add the title here as region, and whatever I have the header here, I'll off the header. Okay, so now as you can see, east, okay, the values are changing. Okay, interesting. Now let us go and select a bar chart here. So as I have already shown you that this bar chart, in this bar chart, let's see what is the information, category and how much total sales I have. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'll come to y-axis, I'll make it bold, okay, and I'll increase the size to 12. In the same way, I'll go to x-axis, I'll go to the values, I'll make it bold, black, and I'll increase the size to 12. Make sure that everything that you are maintaining with the parameter x-axis or y-axis, whatever the value size you are choosing, that should be same and similar, so that it will be easy to understand and visually also it looks beautiful. So I'll make it bold, I'll increase the size, I'll make it black. Okay, so this is something. Okay, so the title also I would like to make it in a center. Okay, I'll make it bold. So we have total sales by category. Interesting. So now my dear viewers, I can go and even use another interesting visual here, that is a pie chart. Pie chart is something which is very interesting and very beautiful. So in this pie chart, what I am trying to do, I will take each region has got how much profit. That's what I would like to see. How much profit? That also is a very interesting visual and very interesting content also to show to an end user. Okay, so as you can see that we have these visuals. So now if I go with south, okay, we will get the information. If I go with west, as you can see, it's very interactive, right? So now you might have a question. So in a slicer, can we use only categorical data? No, we can use the numerical information. Yes, whatever we want, period information. Okay, so my dear viewers, the point here that I would like to share with you all is that whenever we are working on any particular project, okay, we should always make sure that the right DAX function for the right requirement. Let me give you another example. If you want to find out the rank of a customer or rank of a business, are we going to use rank or are we going to use rank X? So that's what you have to understand. If your client is asking you to show what is the minimum date that I have it in my business data, then are you going to use min or are you going to use min X? If your client is asking you to show what is the maximum profit I have in my particular month, then are you going to choose max or are you going to choose max X? So these are the important informations that you have to understand. Depending upon the requirement, we go and usually change the scenarios. Depending upon the requirements, we go and choose the right DAX function that we have. So that should always be a keynote, whenever we are trying to work on any DAX function. But when we are comparing the Microsoft Excel with the DAX, Excel can also write the formulas, DAX can also write the formulas. Excel can write the formulas and can prepare basic visuals. But DAX function, it will, we will use to calculate many such informations, and we can create such beautiful and interactive visuals. We can create beautiful and interactive reports which are not available, which are those visuals which are not available in Excel. In Power BI, we can make it. We can convert the raw data into live. We can convert, we will get live to our data when we are using Power BI. So my dear viewers, let me discuss with you some common mistakes that generally developers or the users will do when we are talking about DAX functions. Whenever you are using a DAX function, please do not overuse the columns. I mean calculated columns, as I told you, as these will increase the size of the data set. Do not have unwanted measures. Whichever measures are not required, very simple, remove it. Whenever we are talking about DAX function, too many arguments you are going to pass on one particular statement, that is also not allowed. You are going to miss some filter contexts, that is also not allowed. Okay, so we have to overcome the simple mistakes that we generally face whenever we are writing a DAX functions. People, what they think is that, okay, I have this particular data, this is my requirement, I can get this solution of this requirement using 5 or 6 DAX functions. You might get it, but you should be in a situation to analyze and understand that which DAX function is right for me, rather than going with all 5 or 6 different answers. That's very interesting point. So that's where we generally tell, whenever we are working on aggregate data, please use new measures. Please use new measures. That's very simple thing that we told. And even if you have more measures in your particular data, my dear viewers, create a separate table for measures and dump all those measures there. Don't try to mess it up in every particular table that you have. Because in real time, you may be working with 5 billion rows, 50 billion rows. Okay, so this is a very interesting thing that we have to understand. That's the tips that we would like to share with you. All right. So when we are talking about this Excel and DAX, Excel, we have the formulas there, we have the visuals there. Let me show you the visual there. Okay, so we have lot of formulas in Excel. So whenever we are using those formulas, as you can see, logical, financial, okay, so we have all these date and time, lookup and reference. We have many formulas here, but how are we going to present it as form of the visual? That is very important. Okay, so we can go and prepare the reports, we can go and add some information. As you can see, we can go and write the pivot chart, we can add maps, we have a lot of charts here. So all these things are available, but as you can see, these are by default, right? These are by default, but the interactive, the custom way, the friendly way, the wow feeling when we go and create a report, that is possible only with the Power BI with the help of DAX functions, right? So my dear viewers, I suggest you, whenever we are working on DAX, please make sure that you are using the right DAX function. You are not using calculated columns every time. Preferring DAX functions than Excel can be the best choice, because it makes your work easier, smarter, and it helps you to prepare or build the reports or dashboard in a very interactive, attractive, and friendly way. Right. So thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy as your source for IT knowledge. We are always here to help you to navigate the tech world. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you. Stay curious and keep learning.